PJNet live on a brand new week. It is Tuesday here at the PJNet studio. We have a background in the winter wonderland. We have Lori Cooper standing by. We will switch to Studio 6 in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome to a brand new week in the winter wonderland of the Eagle's Nest at PJNet Studios. And we are finishing up part 2. Part 1, for those of you who missed it, shame on you. Oh, by the way, if you're watching, thank you. We're so glad to have you. You could be watching at patriotjournalist.com in our chat room with some nice people that are gathered there to meet you. Or you could be watching live on YouTube or on Facebook or on Twitter. Or you could be watching this after it's already over with and you see it after the fact on any of those channels. No matter where you're watching this, thank you. We're glad you're here. Merry Christmas. And part 1, Lori Cooper came on about a week or two ago. I don't remember exactly. But she told the story of how when she was a 9-year-old girl, her father was shot in the line of duty as a police officer. Now, it was not fatal, but for decades, Lori was vexed with anger and a need for revenge. Lori, it's a brand new day. It's snowing where you're at. I'm down here in my flip-flops and tennis shoes and all that, but I'm glad you're here. I'm glad
Thank you for having me back.
It's a great day, and I love it. Anyway, gosh, we went. We kind of ran out of time last time. We had some connection problems.
We did.
So we didn't really have the full time that we normally would have.
Right.
We lost about 5 or 6 minutes, and you were just getting to the good part. The part where apparently, after years of dealing with anger, anxiety, revenge, the need
yeah,
for
that too.
But that's not you today.
No,
What happened?
not at all. You know, Coach, over the last, I would say, year or so, I think on part 1, I may have said a year and a half. It's been about that length of time. I knew that I had to do something differently in my life because I was full of all of those negative emotions that you just described: the hate, the anger, the resentment, all of the bad stuff that I had carried with me actually for over 4 decades when my late father was shot in the line of duty. Part of the reason for that too, Coach, is when, you have a family member who you see completely, whole, and their whole behavior is normal. And then all of a sudden, everything just changes in your whole world. My father became a completely different person. Our family vacations went away. Our family station wagons went away. Mm-hmm. And, now we've got terminology for what he went through, PTSD, mm-hmm. but they didn't have, those kinds of terms back then. So I'm positive, after having learned so much about it and read so much about it, that that's what he went through. But guess what? By extension, the family goes through it too. Mm-hmm. And, instead of my dad dealing with it in an appropriate way for himself and for us, his family, he just remained silent. Mm-hmm. And so did everybody that came over our house. We, would have, get-togethers with different law enforcement families, and it was almost as if nothing happened, except that, he had, sustained a major injury, and then subsequently for a year endured, one terrible surgery after another. So our lives are turned upside down. And, when you don't really understand what's going on, and you're 9 years old and you can't process, all the changes in your environment, well, eventually, as you continue to grow older, those feelings just get bigger and bigger and bigger as you get bigger and bigger and bigger. And that's what happened to me. And then, as I began to learn a little bit more as I grew older, then I learned that, the man that was responsible for, you know, having severely injured my father was, running around the country and nobody really cared. And so I just couldn't understand. And I internalized a lot of my anger. And then as I grew older, it would come out, in ways that didn't make me a nice person. I wasn't proud of myself. And so, again, going back to about the last year and a half or so, I told myself I have to do something differently. And so I began praying so hard to just, you know, I asked for guidance, just for God to help me. I wanted to be a nicer, kinder, gentler version of the old, angry part of myself that had not let go, by the way, of this man who I just, for all practical purposes, I mean, I, could feel the wheels in my head spinning sometimes and thinking, well, if he got hit by a bus tomorrow, it would hurt my feelings. Well, that is not the type of person I want to be. That's never who I wanted to be. So
Did you ever think about killing him?
No, of course not.
Yeah, I wouldn't advise that, because you can only kill him once.
No.
You can put him in the hospital over and over. So yeah.
No. Not, I mean, definitely never anything like that. But, like sometimes you just, would, or I would, not, I don't want to talk in the second person, but I would have, these, feelings that would overcome me. And and here's the other thing, my dad did pass, and he did pass likely as a result of his original injury, and then all the surgeries and all the metal in his body. So, while we don't get to celebrate, or haven't gotten to celebrate, holidays and special occasions for years now with him, his family, the man who shot my father, he and his family, were getting to do all of the things that we were lacking. My father was my hero, literally. And I just worshiped the ground that he walked on. And so, when we lost him too, I mean, that I think only, served to heighten the anger. And so I just had to do something differently, Coach. And, I, had converted to Catholicism back in the late 90s. I couldn't seem to feel any sense of, peace in my heart when I went to mass. I mean, I'd splash myself in holy water, like, oh my gosh, wash all these sins away, because I've had these, terrible thoughts, and I've got all this anger built up in me, and I'm not a nice person. And that's not who I ever wanted to be. So I found somebody by accident. Actually, it's not by accident, because I don't believe in accidents or coincidences like that. I believe she was sent to me, and through her, she helped me immensely in guidance to pray for the soul of the man who shot my father. And she told me to find a park, a creek, anywhere that was quiet, Coach, where I could just have, peace and solitude and be one with nature, and to literally pray for his soul. And she said, that's your homework assignment for like 2 weeks. You have to do this every day. And once you do it, you will have completely cleansed yourself. You will feel so much better. And you will also experience, that overwhelming, joy of what it's like to extend mercy to somebody else who, for all practical purposes, I don't use the word hate ever, but I will use strongly dislike or loathe or something like that. But for all practical purposes, I loathed him and his family.
Well, that's understandable. So this person you encountered put you on a regimen. You had to go to boot camp on recovery here.
She did.
Step one was go somewhere quiet, pray for the soul.
Yes.
Then what?
Yes. Ask for forgiveness for, all of my horrible thoughts. To try to even, if I could, reach out and talk with his family and let them know that I had forgiven them. Because there's a part of this story too, Coach, wherein this man's family, found me and, kind of tried to turn my life upside down for a while. And they're not very nice people, but I wasn't a very nice person either. So I did exactly what you said, and I reached out, and they wouldn't let me speak with him. And I tried as best as I could to speak with them in the kindest way that I could. And they just weren't at that point in time. And this has only been now like a few months ago. I don't think they were ready to receive my message. So I'm not giving up. It's still, a part of this overall journey that I'm on. And so I'm going to do it again. And I'm going to try until I get it right. And I just don't want to ever have the feeling again like I don't have peace in my heart, Coach. I mean, I'm a giving person, I'm a loving person, but I was just, I wrote this is kind of profound. One day I wrote down the word tragedy. And I looked at it, and I kept looking at it. Well, then I saw the word rage. And I thought, oh, okay, the word rage lives right inside of the word tragedy.
Yeah, how about that?
And, but conversely, to try to find a positive, I also, discovered that unity lives inside of the word community. So I would rather have unity than rage. And so I have forgiven this man and his family. And I hope that we can, at some point in the future, connect and have a conversation, and maybe healing on their end too, because honestly, Coach, some of the stories that they were told were not exactly accurate. And so if I had heard, the version that they received, I would have, been as upset as they were probably. I already was, so, so there's a lot of healing that has taken place over the course of the last year. Somehow or another, I found you and this wonderful program and your ministry. And you were like a magnet. And I just immediately found solace and comfort here. You call it your safe place. And that is the understatement of the year, because it's more than just a safe place. It's a sacred place too.
Well, you know what I find interesting, and let's talk about it, because you've shared this with me in some of our correspondence.
Yeah.
You have taken this mess with God's help.
Yes.
And made it into a message. Now, you've done some work for the police benevolent or some sort of police charity type thing.
The Wounded Blue Foundation.
Say that again.
The Wounded Blue Foundation. It's a brand new nonprofit organization founded by Lieutenant Randy Sutton, retired lieutenant with the Las Vegas Metro Police Department, and also retired Sergeant Jason Harney. And the two of them worked together, and they created this film wherein they profiled 6 law enforcement officers, not unlike my own, where these officers had sustained, really significant line of duty injuries. And then, it went into all the aftermath of, the life of the officer and his or her family. Because, Coach, that's the other thing that is so important for me to emphasize here. The families, they just get forgotten. They just do. So it's kind of like when somebody passes and everybody's so nice, and, the neighbors come over and they bring a casserole. Mm-hmm. And you're surrounded by all this love and light, right? Mm-hmm. And then after it's all over, where's everybody go? Yeah, they leave.
Their world keeps going. Yeah.
That's right. And what happens to yours? Mm-hmm. Well, that's the way it was for us. So I have found, in Lieutenant Randy Sutton and Jason Harney, 2 huge mentors that have helped me significantly. They created this fantastic film, called The Wounded Blue. Their website, by the way, is thewoundedblue.org. They're a 501c3 nonprofit organization, and they're doing miraculous things to help officers that, didn't have these kinds of resources, like when my father was shot in the line of duty. So, every day I just had a conversation probably for about 2 hours earlier today with retired Sergeant Jason Harney. So they're working on a docu-series right now too, and it's going to be free on YouTube. So whenever they launch it, I'm going to make sure to broadcast it, because I just think it's something that all of us, should be aware of.
Sure. Maybe we could have them share with us here. You just launched a brand new website.
I did. WriterLoriCooper.com. This has been, a long time coming, just like Jason and I had, this huge conversation about my book today. And he gave me good, solid brotherly advice. And he can't wait to get a hold of my book so that he can read the whole story. And he's even talked about coming to Columbus and taking my book and adapting it into a documentary and filming here. Which I would just be delighted to do and work with him. So I think that's kind of a little push, for him to give me the incentive. And so hopefully, within the next 6 months or so, I'll have my book out. The title, by the way, Sound of Silence, twofold. One, all the silence, for 44 years. It was like so loud, it was deafening. And then two, there's a psalm, Coach. And
Simon and Garfunkel.
No, a psalm, Psalm,
Oh.
psalm. Yeah.
Oh, David. No, okay.
Yeah. Where, it talks about when you're angry, pause in silence. When you feel heartbroken, pause in silence. Any of the negative emotions, the Bible asks you to pause in silence and allow God to be your voice, so that you don't do anything that you regret later, Yeah. And listen, I'm the queen of that. Okay. Well, I have been, past tense. So that's the other reason, Sound of Silence.
Now, in the 2 minutes that we have left, this is actually your second book, because the first one you wrote, what happened?
No. This is still the same book.
I was teeing it up for you. Let me try again. You had journaled this all along.
Oh, yes.
So this is actually the second book you've written, because you rewrote the first one. This is actually...
Yes. I'm sorry. I apologize. Yes. The first one, like I said, in part one, when I put it all together and I had edited and polished, and I read the whole thing from, front cover to back cover, I thought, oh my gosh, this is not my story. This isn't my story. So I started all over.
Yeah.
And so now, we're going to have a story that's, it has to, be factual, but it's also going to be full of a lot of love and light too. So.
And hope. Lori, I'm proud of you. I am happy that, and whoever your mentor was, I'm sure that God intersected you with that person. Folks, be the mentor, because there's people hurting all around us, because even in this season that we are seemingly so full of joy and so happy and just everything so great, the people that were hurting are still hurting.
Yes.
And you can pretend for a little while, but folks, that's what matters.
And it's really all about, random acts of kindness. It costs nothing for us to be kind, so do what you can, everybody, help your fellow neighbor. Just donate an hour of your time somewhere. If you can't help your favorite charity monetarily, it's a season of giving. So give time if you can't do anything else.
Wonderful. Lori, I am happy for you. I'm proud of you. Thanks for sharing your story. Can't wait to see that book when it comes out. Tell Officer Sutton, or what was his name?
Yes, Lieutenant Randy Sutton and Sergeant Jason Harney. And Jason should be watching, by the way. I hope he is.
Well, I'd love to hear from them, and let's see if we can get their story. But we got another story coming up in about 10 minutes. Lori, thanks again so much, dear.
Thank you.
You look wonderful, girl.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, folks, that was Lori Cooper telling us her story of recovery. And folks, if she can do it, anybody can. I'm happy for her. I hope you were inspired by that. Hey, good to see so many people here. Listen, I'm going to have to bolt real quickly. We will be back in less than 10 minutes. Casper's Take is coming up at the bottom of the hour, and I have got to take this studio apart and rebuild it in a short period of time. So I hope you'll stay with us as PJNet Live continues.